I think we're live.
We are live.
All right.
Hello, everybody.
I see the countdown going down. All right. Well, welcome back for another season 4.
Season
I lost my
4.
thumb on the chainsaw accident, man.
Season 4 of the show. Can't believe that we're going into our 4th year doing this.
I know, it's crazy.
And we have some folks joining us right away. At least I can see in the comments that we've got Ghost Survivors joining us, as well as Clark Stepp. Thank you, both people that joined us and would hang out in the last season as well. Appreciate everybody coming back. So how's everybody doing in the comments section? How was everybody's summers?
In the peanut gallery, how's it going over there? No comment.
It's coming through. We got to wait for that delay from YouTube. It makes it seem as if nobody's saying anything, but
oh man, come on, you slackers! What's up? We've been here for an hour. We've just been sitting there waiting for somebody to talk to.
So, how about you, Rusty? What have you been up to?
Oh, about 50 feet. Yeah.
Of what?
Timber. All right, next limb. Yeah.
That's what a land hurricane will do, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been spending the last few days mowing trees. Man, it just sucks. I'm tired.
Yeah, it's hard work.
It's like, it's like you have this land hurricane rip through. You're watching trees going over. You're hearing smashing and crashing inside your house is being like someone's hitting it with a ball peen hammer going, his limbs are flying into it. And I looked, finally when the storm ended, I walked out and looked in my backyard and there's crap laying everywhere. And the backside of my house where the wind was hitting it is green. I have a tan house. My house was green because all the leaves and everything were just like,
like all the chlorophyll and everything from the leaves just plastered against it.
Yeah, literally. It was like someone pureed tree and just splattered onto the side of the house. I was like, oh, this is not normal. I've never seen this before unless it was a tornado. And it's like when I heard it, the sirens are going off, they're going, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? And I walk outside and like, it's sunny out. Why are the tornado sirens going off? Okay, nothing on the horizon. Okay, so I go back in the house. I do some more stuff, and the sirens are still going off. And I'm like, why are the sirens going off? So I walk back outside, and it's getting a little darker to the west. So I was like, okay, I pull up my app. I'm like, looking, I'm like, well, that looks bad. It's like this bright purplish red wall marching towards. It's like that would explain why the sirens are going off. And pretty soon it's like you hear this roaring sound of like row rangers, and all of a sudden I just start watching the trees go bending over, and I'm watching tree limbs like this big snapping off and literally going sideways, just flying through the air.
Oh,
failing. I'm like, I better go to the basement. So
yeah.
It's like, I thought, this has got to be, I've never seen this, but in a storm chasing with a tornado. And it's like, okay, we got a tornado going to hit. And it just kept going and going. And it's like, okay. And I look outside and I'm still seeing limbs flying by and everything. And also I heard the house shake, something hit the ground. So I sneak outside and I look around the corner of the house, and there's a big tree laying in the backyard from the neighbors that used to be in their yard is now in my yard. Oh my gosh. And then I was like, okay, eventually it subsided down. I go looking around, checked everything out. And it was like the power went out, and it was like, oh my gosh. And it's like trees are down everywhere. And it looked like a tornado went through, which I've seen many times, seeing what a tornado zone looks like. Yeah. And I'm like, we must have been a near miss by a tornado. That's probably why I'm seeing all this disaster. And like, okay, It was like, yeah, this is cool. So I go driving around a little bit, weaving through streets and stuff, because there's entire streets you can't even go down them because there's just trees everywhere. And the entire county's like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like from about 35 miles to the north of us and about a mile or two south of town of Des Moines is just a straight wall of just imagine a tornado that's about 40 miles wide just went through the state.
And I heard that there was a tremendous amount of devastation to the crops in the state.
Yeah.
And that, which is a big deal for like the country and beyond, because my understanding, and I don't know the details of it, but my understanding is there's some key crops that come out of the state that actually are relied upon, you know, that state for to quite a significant degree.
Yeah, we grow a lot of corn and soybeans. That's our 2 crops. And this was kind of a hard hit for us because from about Des Moines to the west has been major drought. Dan, he lives in the major drought zone, dead center practically in the major drought zone.
Speaking of which, both Sean and Dan joined the show, and Sean. And so, hello, gentlemen. We've got 4 folks joined. Thank you very much.
So a lot of crops really suffered from that. So that's bad. But then this, and it just kind of like a fan, it just kept getting a little wider and wider, this derecho is what they call it. Never heard the term derecho before. I always called it straight line winds, you know, when we went through meteorology school. So, and it was like, okay, this is a new term to me. And I had to look it up. I was like, what's a derecho? I looked it up and like, oh, straight line winds. All right. Somebody just fancied up the name for it. And it's like, yeah, leave it to somebody on like the Weather Channel to do something like this. But it was just like when it hit Cedar Rapids, which is like 110 miles away from us, they had like 135, 140 mile an hour winds hit them. And it literally does look like they were hit by a tornado. And it's like the entire city, we're talking just trees, buildings ripped up and everything. It was pretty nasty. Fancy folks always trying to rename stuff. That's true. Yeah, I take something simple and make it fancy.
So yeah, so it sounds like it's been pretty crazy for you.
So that was my biggest crazy event of the entire summer. And then spending 5 days without power.
Yeah. And now, I guess probably the COVID thing probably canceled the state fair first, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I would imagine it could have caused complications. When was the state fair in relation to this hurricane?
It would hit on Monday and the fair would have started on Thursday.
So then it wouldn't have happened anyway. I don't think so.
It's a good possibility.
Yeah.
Or at least it would have been delayed enough without power.
Yeah. Sean said he had a straight line storm rip through southern New Jersey a few years ago as well.
Yeah. Pretty nasty stuff. I went through one down in Kentucky once. That was really bad. Down at Fort Knox. And I was in one like a barracks like area. And my car was outside and I couldn't find my car because the number of trees that got snapped off and went pushed across the parking lot and then stopped on top of my car. And it looked like a big giant windrow. You know how they push when they come with a D8 cat, D9 cat, and they push all the trees, push them over, put them into windrows. My car was inside a windrow of trees. So they eventually had to come in and dig all the trees out to eventually get to my car. So
crazy.
Yeah.
Looks like we have the Yankee Wargamer in the house. I believe that is Eric, if I'm correct.
That'd be Eric.
Yep. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Kicking off the new season. So yeah, it sounds like you had your hands full. So how about what have you had as far as hobby stuff? Like what have you been up to?
Well, this summer's been spending a lot of time with Gaslands.
Yeah.
I've been putting out my racing videos for Gaslands. I think I've got like 5 or 6 now I put out. And typically we have a race about once a week. We won't have one this week because I'm busy still cleaning up because we have citywide cleanup day where you can take your trees and stuff. And I'm still got my down trees I'm still taking out. So I'm going to spend, about 4 hours running those to the tree recycle area. But I have been working on Gaslands, and if you haven't seen my videos on my vehicles, that's my taco truck that I made.
Nice.
That's my racing taco truck. What's what it's supposed to look like. That's what it originally looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my cop donut truck.
Oh, sorry. Let me. I'm a little off
a little
here. I
rusty
have to.
about this. Oh.
Yeah, I need to actually zoom in on you there.
There we go. The racing taco truck and donut truck. So I made those. I tore them apart and put them back together. And then this is my Badlands race car. One of them.
Yeah.
It's got the big machine gun on top.
I like the roll cage, or the sort of
The wire roll cage.
the wire roll cage, yeah, that you put on there.
You got the little guys in there. You can see his little head sticking up.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And then I have some bikes. Got some bikes.
Yeah.
They got their machine guns on the front. So, and then I've been picking up little, they cost like $1. You pick them up here. And you got these little Hot Wheels and stuff. And then you have the Matchbox. And then I got a large collection still to go.
That's a lot of time for converting there.
Yes. Conversion time.
Knight's Pantry joined.
Hey, Scott.
Hello.
So that's pretty much, that was my only purchases this summer was just cars.
Well, that's sometimes a good thing. You're focused.
Yeah, it's like I realized that I have a whole bunch of stuff already. So my plan is I have all those American War of Independence miniatures that Dan and I have been working on.
Yep.
And I need to start assembling more. I got to start working on my Continental side of it, put them together. That might be one of my projects this winter, is put them together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to be working on my fantasy stuff too.
Nice. Old Hammer Challenge, perhaps? Maybe somebody will be doing one of those at one point, maybe.
We'll have an Old Warhammer Challenge pretty soon, most likely. And then I'm going to break out my 1980s Old Citadel Undead and start making my skeleton.
That'll be cool to see, because that'll be a first. I don't think you've pulled out any Undead yet.
No, I haven't. Not on the channel yet. I have gone through and dug through everything. That's one of the reasons I have it, because I've been digging through all my miniatures.
Yeah.
And a chunk of my Chaos Dwarves and my Undead are missing.
Okay.
So it's like I had, like Nagash, the original Nagash, the old ugly metal miniature, but which goes for like $100 now.
The classic, though.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm gonna break him out and show him, because he was my centerpiece of my army.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is he? I can't find him. Then I realized, where are my Chaos Dwarfs? I have like the War Machines, because they were in a separate portion, in a different box. But I had a tackle box, that was full, that had my Chaos Dwarf army and the warriors, and I can't find that. It's missing. And which was really makes me sick because, you know, those things go for 15, 20 bucks a piece now. And I had like 50 of them.
Yeah. You were thinking maybe it could have been grabbed at the gaming store by accident, or not by accident, but intentional.
I think back the last time I used them was at the game shop for a game of 7th edition with my Chaos Dwarf army.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's unfortunate. That's a bummer.
It's like makes me ill.
Yeah.
And the Gosh was in that box with some of my undead stuff.
Well, maybe to make you feel a little bit better about it, why don't we just announce what our musty drinks are tonight?
Dryer, sorry, man.
So pull out your musty drinks. We thought we'd have the idea to maybe do a little toast for the new season. We've got something pretty close. We both got Highland Park 12 years here. I just got a new bottle, and they're rebranding it as the Viking Honor. And Rusty's got some Highland Park, the same bottle I just finished last season. So we do a little bit of a toast, get our musty drink going on, which is what we typically do anyway. But I don't think we've ever had the same scotch at the same time. Pretty much.
It's similar stuff.
Yeah. We're always usually grabbing something independently.
The Monconfier brothers went up and looked at their beer.
There we go.
I had my famous duel on Boston Commons.
Actually, that is really nice.
Yeah.
It's just a 12-year, but I tell you, I really like it.
There's a lot of complexity to this.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gets
you mean
better.
I was drinking this at the same time, or do you mean the scotch? I think we can do it at the same time. I haven't even had my first sip yet. What are you going to do tonight?
I'm just smelling it.
What are you going to do tonight?
I'm just going to sit here and smell my scotch. You know, it's like this is, you know, as peaty as this is, it has a lot of the bouquet in it. It's very, you have a little bit of raisin, plum type sense to it.
Yeah, I really like this one. It's really
I'm gonna let it sit there.
That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave all the fancy stuff to you. I'm gonna say, yeah, I really like this one.
I got a good nose on me, yeah.
No, but I do. It's quite good. Let's check out the comments a bit. Yeah. Dan, I've seen your command bunker, Rusty. There could be miniatures hiding in any one of those thousands of boxes you have.
Yeah, I know.
He's seen it up close. You're going to have to do a search, send out a search party.
Yeah, Dan was sitting right here as we played our American War of Independence game. We had a lot of fun. That was the highlight of my summer, was Dan coming over.
We've got Augustus in the house, and I don't know that I know Augustus, and he's asking if this is a Horus Heresy podcast. Hey, everyone. Well, hey there, Augustus. It's not a Horus Heresy podcast. We kind of talk about, that's actually interesting because that's unplanned, but we probably first season could mention a little bit about what we talk about on the show. Why don't you do it? I do
have a lot of Horus Heresy miniatures.
Yep. Yeah, no, we do kind of do pseudo Warhammer stuff, in that like we're both kind of painting a lot of Warhammer, or old Warhammer fantasy right now. I like to do old Hammer, a lot of old miniatures of 40K as well. And we actually do both historical and fantasy wargaming of like all different kinds. And everybody that you see come in here pretty much does that too, like a variety of stuff of both historical gaming as well as fantasy, various types of fantasy, sci-fi. When I say fantasy, I mean both science fiction, like Warhammer 40K, and fantasy. So we don't really limit it, to one thing on the show. We do kind of do traditionally a old Hammer painting challenge. That's just because we both like to paint. It's just something different that we do, where we paint some old miniatures a couple times a year usually, and do it as part of the show. But beyond that, it's pretty much fair game. And so it's all kinds of miniature wargaming, and we even have dabbled in board gaming discussions as well, I believe. It's primarily miniature gaming, though. I don't know if you have anything to add, Rusty, to that as far as.
Oh yeah, it's over in my channel, I paint a lot of Horus Heresy, Adeptus Mechanicus stuff. So that's my primary. And most of my, you could say 75% of my Space Marines are old Rogue Trader / Horus Heresy miniatures. So.
And you may have been confused by it because the show tonight is on my channel, which is called Heresy Productions. And I did start the channel focusing on Warhammer 40K. And so, and it's been going on since 2012, my channel, but it's just evolved in a lot of different ways. I do a lot of French Indian wargaming. I do like anything from like Marvel stuff. Like we're doing a lot of Warhammer Fantasy. So we kind of dabble in everything. Yeah, it's pretty much all over. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Augustus. And Augustus is from New Zealand. Awesome.
And he's a Mordham collector. That's
oh, nice.
Another one of those rare games that kind of went to the wayside, which is sort of maybe coming back. It's possible.
Yeah, I heard that something about that. Is that a rumor? I think that's true, right?
Yeah, I heard a rumor
that it's coming. That'll be interesting. I have a in my playlist there, Augustus. I do have a painted Beastmen warband, and I have an unpainted Witch Hunters as well to do at one point. I love the miniatures. Knights Pantry says that I need a new bottle again. Now, do you mean specifically this one, like the Highland Park 12, or do you mean that you finished all of your scotch and you need to get some more scotch? That could be taken both ways. I'm assuming you mean that you specifically want the Highland Park 12. And so, yeah, so a lot of things are coming back with GW. And so that is quite possible, I think. As a matter of fact, it's not GW, but the big news lately I heard from everybody is the Hero Quest board game is being redone as a board game.
Well, that's a good possibility.
Well, there's a countdown, like on a website.
Really?
Yeah, like they're doing it. There's some videos up about it. Like it's definitely happening. So for a lot of people that are into the old stuff, that'll be really cool. But maybe I'll just quickly, because we're having, so tonight we typically have a very focused show. We do it every other Thursday, and it usually will have at least 2 topics that we focus on. Before we even do the show, we oftentimes will even say it and announce that. And then we do a lot of discussion with folks in the room, like you guys that are hanging out right now. Tonight, first show of the season, this is really just how's everybody doing, a bit of a hangout tonight. And so that's sort of like our format. But tonight is one of the occasions, first show of the season, where we're not having a very fixed format. Just a bit more of a hangout. And so I'll show my some of the stuff that I've been involved with here. Some of it I've had on my channel, but I brought a couple other things out.
Are you going to top my storm story with the winter storm stories? You know, did you get any snow?
Sorry, what's that?
We had this winter storm. You know, we had the Rockies and Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana. You had and Colorado had all the snow already this year. Did you get any snow?
Are you talking seriously?
You need a weather story. You
know? Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. Now I get it. I have to infuse my weather discussion after yours. Okay. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to put on my Hue camera. I will have to focus for a moment here, but
in super size.
So I showed these. If you guys see my latest video, I won't spend too much time on these because I just showed these, but I'm working on my Marvel stuff. I got the Crisis Protocol last winter. I was so excited about it. And then I put it up on the shelf and said, I got it. Now I don't have to think about it until I get guilty.
Absolutely marvelous.
Until I get guilty, I don't have to think about it. So I've painted a few of them, and I've got some more to paint to finish the core set. And then I'll be able to do some kind of games with that. So I showed that recently already. But I did... told Rusty I was going to pull something out because I'm doing all this comic book stuff. The old Night Models game, I have a lot of unpainted things, and I've been really enjoying focusing on the comic look. So I decided that I'm going to pull out. Oh, this is the thing from the Marvel the Night Models game, And just for some fun, I'm going to paint this up. And this guy's a large miniature. Now he's not as, the nice thing is he's not as large as the Hulk though.
Oh, they even got a rocky looking base for him.
Yep. Yep. I think if I stand him next to this Hulk, he's definitely smaller than the Night Models Hulk, but I think he's still smaller than this guy, which is probably good from a scale perspective. And so that's pretty cool. We were talking about 40K stuff. I recently been thinking about my Eldar because I'm still trying to.
You got the girls.
Yeah, I never got my Rogue Trader Banshee stuff together, and so I picked up. I have an Exarch, like the actual leader of the tribe, coming in the mail, but these are ones that I just picked up just so I could have some old school Howling Banshees to paint up for my collection of Rogue Trader Eldar. So I'm really happy with these. And weirdly enough, I mean, I just picked up one other mini from the same guy because this is a Guardian, but he's one of the first 5 Guardians.
The punk rocker style.
Well, they had some various space elves that they first released, but when they first released some Guardians, I believe they released 5, and I had 4 of them, but just not this guy. For the longest time, I've been looking for him, and yeah, he's got like the elven face, but like the mohawk, and so I picked him up from the same group, and then I picked up a bunch of Guardian sprues from the Rogue Trader. Or they're basically weapon and arm sprues that are hard to get these days. And so when I get some more metal armless Guardians from the early days, I won't have to worry about like recycling itty bitty little arms and broken pieces, you know, like when I'm scrubbing paint off them or doing whatever, I can just start with some brand new ones, which I'm really happy about that. And so, yeah, like that's some of the stuff that I just picked up like in the last week. I haven't talked to you or showed you this, Rusty, but the one thing I didn't show is these are my Bob Ollie Beastmen. It's the style of Beastmen from the 80s that they all were like Gores, and they made 30 individual ones at one time that they had in the catalog, 15 Nurgle and 15 Zinch, and I was aiming to collect all of them. This is number 27 and 28. There are 2 more I need, and then I've got all 30 of them. And I've been collecting these for a couple of years now. After I got I got about 15 of them or 12 of them from a friend initially, and I just fell in love with them. And so I got these, came in the mail over from the UK this week, and I was really excited to find these. So
those are the ones that you find in the 3rd edition rule book, I think.
That may very well be the case. That could be true. I'd have to look again. So in the general rulebook, let me go back. Boom. All right. So oh gosh, I didn't even zoom in there. Well, I did all that. I didn't even notice. Okay.
Yeah, I did say you could zoom in, and you didn't listen.
I'm like, oh, I'll move the camera. I'll move it closer. Anyways, hope you guys got the general gist. And yeah, you know, this summer for me, I know you kind of talked about, you've had a lot more like biblical kind of experiences this summer, where for me it was fairly like just more of the same, like, like the spring continuing through the summer. It wasn't even felt like a regular summer. I did get 1 week away with the family, and that was really good. But I took our normal hobby break. I have to say, I didn't really talk about this on the channel too much, but I found normally I'm really gunning to get back in the hobby after taking like July, usually mid-July to mid-August, or like a month off. I usually find it as a recharging thing, and I'm just like thinking about projects, and then I just am really excited and energetic to get back in. This is the first year since I've done it that I kind of ended even in a little bit of a funk, and I think part of it was just being in healthcare. Like, I've worked through the whole COVID thing since the beginning. I think everybody's found life a little bit more stressful for like a variety of reasons, like not the same for everybody, but it's been a little bit more stressful. And the week was great that I had off, but I didn't feel totally refreshed even after the time off with the hobby. I felt I was finding it harder to come back to the hobby desk. I've never had that happen until this time. But to be honest, just picking up the comic book models, like just to do something different, really helped me. Like it helped me try to do something new, like and improve on something and kind of get some gratification out of that. And it's got me kind of getting back into it again. I can honestly say that I feel like I'm getting back into it again, but it's been a longer process. I don't think I had any choice though. I think I still needed to take that time off, you know, from it. Because sometimes you could say, well, you shouldn't take the time off, then you wouldn't. And that is true if you take a lot of time off, I suppose. But for me, yeah, like I feel like now I'm kind of finally getting back my groove, my mojo.
I was at my doctor today, and I was talking to one of the nurses, and it's like, you know, how do you holding up? And I asked her, like, how you holding up, you know, with the whole thing, you know, going around? And she's like, well, the big thing I'm having a hard time is she's like, I look at people's faces when I'm talking with them, and that's like everybody's going around like Bane, you know, talking. It's like all you see is their eyes, and having a hard time. And it's like she said, that's the stressful thing about the whole thing, is that you're a lot of facial interact. It's like you get a lot of your cues from people from their face.
Absolutely.
And
it's really taken a lot away in that respect. Yeah.
And that she said that's draining to her. And I can't imagine, you know, working every day in that kind of industry. It's just like,
yeah, I found just, well, there was I said a variety of things because it really is a variety of things. I mean, there are times when you're worried about how schools are going to go if you have kids. There are times when, if you work with the public, like you literally are feeling like the stress differently off of every person that comes through the door. Like, you know, people are just stressed out. You know, if you're trying to buy stuff like in April, like you might not even find the things you need on the shelf. I mean, like we've gone through so many things. And so it's just, I'm not even saying it's one thing. I'm just saying that there's just been this like level of stress that happened for a period of time. And I think it's changed for me, my downtime this summer with the hobby and my kind of wanting to get back, you know, it affected it, you know, in that sense. I just needed a bit more time, I think.
I get one of the kick I get out is all right, it's a new month. What's the next Holocaust coming our way for the month? You know, who had Godzilla? Come on. You know, the type thing is like, all right, who had in Iowa had hurricane? Iowa, who had hurricane for Iowa? You know, you gotta laugh.
You need the 100-sided die and to roll it 5 times.
It's going crazy.
Well, we got like 9 people in the house right now, so why don't we take a look at the comments?
Of comments. It's the last time.
We really do. And
it's
so
like we got Todd came in the house right after the last comment. Yes.
So hello, Todd. Thanks for joining in. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying the Marvel. I really I appreciate your comment on the video too, like that you watched that I did recently on it. I really love it, and so makes me feel like they're real. For somebody that was like into comic books as a kid, it makes me feel like they kind of jump off the table, like the things I used to read when I was a kid. So it's kind of fun. Dan says, I think it'd be easy for GW to bring back Mordheim, a good business decision. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of a discussion here. Like Augustus kind of commented on that. He says it would be. I prefer the small skirmish games like Mordheim and Zone Mortalis for 30K. So that's true, right? You know, I think there's a huge following for Mordheim even today. Mordheim, I should say. Not him. There's a huge following. Like you go on Facebook and there's people that are looking for the miniatures and like you know, talking about it. It has a strong following behind it for sure. Let's see.
So like about a week, I guess it's been about a week, 2 weeks ago, I made a big giant batch of Cinnabons because, you know, during the fair, you know, I missed the fair because that's one of the things we always have is the big mass of Cinnabons style. They're like that big. Dan probably knows what I'm talking about. You got these big masses, and they're like, man, I really missed the Cinnabon, you know, from the fair. So I made a big batch. I made a big pan of them, and I was making them, and it's like I was spreading out the cinnamon. And my wife comes in, And she was like, "Oh, you're making this in?" I said, "Yes." And I said, "He who controls the spice controls the galaxy." And she was like,
Did you get, was it total confusion, or did you get like an upward eyeball? Like, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
"What are you talking about?"
You're just like, Dune, it's coming out. Don't you know about anything?
Because I had just watched Dune. My son and I watched Dune before he moved out.
Are you excited about the new movie coming out?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you a big fan? Have you read the series and everything?
I have read every single book. I've watched the movie umpteen number of times.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, it's funny. Derek, who sometimes joins us.
I got a question. Back in 1984, did you see the movie in the theaters?
No. I was pretty young in 1984. I was like 8 or something. I don't know. What was I? No, I would have been 9. Actually,
12.
So I'm pretty close. I was 9. Yeah, and so no, I didn't get taken out to see it, but I saw it as a kid, and
I wasn't even in high school.
Okay, well, it's not that I didn't. I'm not going to say that I understood it all because I've never read the books or anything, but I liked the visuals of that movie. A lot of people don't like that movie. I know it was very ambitious, and basically when you watch it as an adult, it almost seems like a highlight reel.
Yeah.
You could almost just see like one major event happening, another major event happening, like one after the other, and. But as a kid, like when they were doing the exo armor, like or whatever it is, the shimmer armor that they have or whatever,
shields,
and like the shields, yeah. Like when you watch all of that, like it just visually was very cool. I enjoyed it, and in the worms and all that stuff, it was still pretty good. But
do you know why they don't have lasers in Dune?
Mm-mm.
Because if somebody has a shield generator on and you hit it with a laser, goes off like a nuke.
The laser does?
The shield does.
Oh, you mean if they're wearing the shield laser? So they'd rather have the shield than the laser.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
So that's why in the movie you see everybody running around with ballistic weapons and swords and everything.
Oh, okay.
And with shields on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
because high-tech weapons like lasers and stuff interacting with shield, bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So Derek Kinsman, who sometimes joins us, he threw out an article when it said why I tried to read Dune like 15 times or 12 times and still haven't been able to get through the first book or something like that. And that's kind of me. Like I actually, for whatever reason, couldn't. I just dropped off when reading it. I couldn't get into it. I'm going to have to maybe try it again at one point.
How old were you when you started reading it?
Total adult. I mean, I didn't even try reading as a kid. So it wasn't that I was a kid and like, it was just not up for it because I was a kid. Like as an adult, I started to get bored to tears when I was reading it. So I just needed to just try it again. I heard some people say that there's a certain section in the beginning that requires some concentration and like a little more patience, and then it gets better is what I was told, or heard, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Swim through it. It's like when I first read this Silmarillion from Tolkien.
Yeah.
You read the very beginning. I remember as a kid, I was probably about 12, and I was trying to read that thing, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I can't do it. And then a little bit, a couple of years later, I read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings again, and I was like, okay. I tried to flip, and I was like, all right, just flip through. Oh, I got through this little initial story, and it's like, oh, this is good. This is a story, just like all the other ones. This is interesting. You just had to go like rip that off.
I haven't read that one. I've read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I should probably try reading that.
Yeah.
So looks like Todd says built 2 Hins now. Hines.
And
Dan says, love your modern stuff, Todd. Been watching your vids.
Yeah. Todd was, he's going through the trials and tribulations of building the battleground 15 mil miniatures that goes with their Team Yankee. Mm-hmm. I went through that about 4 years ago, I think it was, when it first came out. I did a big massive commission where I put together probably 20 T-72s and all the Hinds and all the aircraft and you name it, everything they had out. It's like, oh, here's a whole bunch of boxes. I was like, assembly line, assembled together. Major pain. But eventually it's like I got to the point where it was maybe 10 minutes. It took me to assemble one tank. So I was like, gonna do it now in my sleep.
Dan says, just going through the comments here and putting them up on the screen. He says, love Bob Ali. I have his entire Ralpartha Goblin range. That's really cool. My question is it painted or is it something you could show? Maybe you've shown it and I've missed it. It was just a while ago or something. I don't remember seeing that on your channel. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, Dan's one of those guys that is kind of like me. He has a whole bunch of miniatures just kind of stored away in his little bunker.
Treasure trove.
Yes, let's open the doors to the treasure. Yeah. I was watching The Hobbit the other night, and he's like, "What is that? Dragon!" And all of a sudden, you watch Smaug dive into the dwarven pool of treasure, and you watch the gold flying around. It's like, that's cool.
There's some New Zealand talk. Don't be offended. I'm pretty much skipping to some of the gaming stuff here, but that is cool. Knight's Pantry, Scott says, I have a question for you guys. Are there good miniature series for medieval RPG type games? Ooh, that is actually a good question. So medieval role-playing games, I'm assuming outside of fantasy, but medieval. I don't know, Rusty. I'm not really a big RPG guy.
The Reaper Bones line is more or less geared towards kind of an RPG. You go in, you find them. There's like my local game store has a bunch of Reaper stuff. Reaper Bones.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I misread that. He's not talking about the rules. He's not asking for a rules recommendation. He's asking for the miniatures. Yeah. So that is a good point, Rusty. And some folks have chimed in. Looks like Eric has said, if you're talking 14th, 15th century historical, the best value is periplastic.
Yeah.
Nice figs. Now, Nick, I don't know if you know Nick, who he's oftentimes on the show with Curtis and Ian. He does a lot of, he's called Medieval Warrior, is his actual YouTube channel. And he has a lot of miniatures, medieval miniatures, and he's totally into the historical. And some of his stuff, he like talks about the castles, like he has like videos just on castles, like historical castles and things. That would be a good channel to check out, Scott. I don't know, Medieval Warrior. And he actually, he knows a lot. He actually, and has a lot of medieval miniatures on his channel. Eric says Fireforge plastics for earlier stuff.
Yeah, Fireforge. They'd have some decent stuff. Not as on the level of Perry's, but they're good. Yeah, bringing up Reaper. There we go.
Yeah. We've got some other comments for Dan. Says talks
10
about
to 15th century.
Black Tree design.
10th to 13th century. Yeah, Fireforge Conquest line. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, lots of recommendations in here. So lots of discussion. All you got to do is start talking about. Tell me about a line of miniatures, and you got like 9 Wargamers in the room.
Oh, I haven't tried these. Have you tried those?
Yeah, so lots of talk about the medieval stuff.
And pretty soon you're like, I'm up to this and information.
That's like the miniatures page, you know, like the forum. Like you go on there and you ask somebody about a line of miniatures, and you'll get like just like this. Like you'll get like a page worth of manufacturers, you know, of all kinds of different stuff, different scales. And
I remember, oh man, it would have been probably about 96 or 97. The guy that started the miniature page. Sat down and talked. He sat down. We talked. You know, he asked a lot of information about, you know, back when we had their company. Spent a lot of time yapping with him.
So Jagmaster Rob has joined in. Hello there, Rob. thanks for joining in. And he says, perfect timing. I join and someone farts. I'm not sure if it's my chair. It's there we go.
Wiki.
Yeah. There we go. And so, Rob, you missed. I did a little show and tell of some Eldar Rogue Trader and the Beastmen and stuff. I did a little bit of because Rob, for those of you that don't know Robert Jankmaster, he's big into old school GW, like really big into Rogue Trader and like old Warhammer Fantasy stuff, and he's got a lot of that stuff. And so, yeah, we chat.
I've been kind of waiting for it. You have your 3rd edition Warhammer Fantasy book, right? For Rogue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about breaking it out and doing a video of mine.
3rd edition
on the channel.
Sweet. What was the question that if I have the book?
Well, I know you have the book. I just wondered if anybody would be interested in me doing a video on it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Of the old 3rd edition stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it's you, not me, with the chair.
Squeaky chair. I need to break.
I think for season
40.
Maybe for season 5, we need to get new chairs.
Yeah.
Oh, here he goes. Chair, sure.
Chair. It's a chair. Bring in a chair.
Dan's asking if Rob has a channel. I think Rob does have a channel. He hasn't done something with it in a while, but he definitely was. There we go with my chair again. He definitely was putting videos out at one point. That's how I got introduced to him. There he goes. He kind of confirmed what I just said.
3rd edition is fun. Yeah. Back before the age of the army books. When you think about it.
Yes.
I'm just trying to. I was sitting there the other night debating which army book I should do a review on next, or flip through.
So, the actual faction.
Yeah, do the army book and then bring the faction out.
Yeah,
because I have every army book, or at one time I had every army book. I'm still missing. I can't find my Wood Elf one and my Chaos Dwarf one, which is interesting because I don't even have a Wood Elf army. Never did, but I got the book anyway because I had people I played against that had Wood Elves.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing, I don't know if you're still talking about for 4th, but for 3rd, as I understand it, when it first came out, it was before Warhammer Armies, the book came out, which was basically the lists, for the first time, where they created a pseudo codex for the first time in a book called Warhammer Armies. It had all the armies, but in like sort of the idea of codexes. But before that, you could play 3rd, and it was sort of like D&D in some ways, or even like Rogue Trader. It was sort of like there weren't army books. Like you basically built it from everything that was in the rule book. It was all self-contained, very detailed, but you just based it on the points and basically what was provided in that book. And so you could really trick out your forces to be very individualized, because of it. It wasn't as standardized. So that could be good and bad, like depending on what your thing is. There's a reason why they make quick sort of lists and ways to make forces these days, because it helps people get things on the table quicker, probably, and more standardized. But then the army.
One of the hard things about 3rd edition was that you spent so much time trying to figure out what you were doing to build your army. And when the army books started coming out in 4th edition, you're like, oh boy, this is easy now.
Yeah, I mean, and on the positive side, for people that just like to go really granular into it, like you could just do so much. I mean, with what you could even just have like characters like within that are troops that are just different than the guy next to them potentially, right? It's just like, but then the army books then came out in between 3rd and 4th, and like during that, and so then you could actually make those forces easier, and it was starting to gain a semblance of what we would see later on. I don't have that book, actually. I have it on electronic copy, but I don't actually have the actual Army book. I have the 3rd edition, just the rules.
Yeah. I know it's out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Do you have it?
I have the Siege book and what else? Something else. If I remember right. It's behind me somewhere. I haven't dug them out and looked at them in forever and a day.
Dan's roping Rob to get his channel going again. And I'm just going to document this. What is the date today? The 17th, I think. 17th of September in the year 2020.
In the year of the plague.
Just putting this up. He may. Just got to get some motivation. That's the start. We'll see if he does. Scott says, joining you guys on the Scotch thing, the Balvenie 18. Is that Balvenie or is it Balvenie?
Balvenie.
Mm-hmm.
Balvenie 18.
Nice.
It's
nice.
Glenfiddich's rich cousin.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Same company?
Yep.
Okay.
Right across the road. Same.
Well, I have a nice Glenfiddich 18, which is kind of nice, but I should probably try that one someday. I don't think I've ever had that one.
I like Balvenie is one of my favorites.
Oh, we've got 2 people here that like it. It's a good recommendation.
I got a 12 sitting upstairs. One of these nights it's going to show up again.
You got 12 of them? 12 bottles?
A case or 2.
Rob says lots of core requirements for forces in 3rd edition. And so orcs and gabos start needing 40 orcs and 40 gabos. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look through it again. I don't remember. It's been a while since I kind of glanced through 3rd edition, and I don't remember there being strict how the numbers were broken down for it. I still have. I don't know. Did Dan ever say whether or not he's already put up his Babali goblins that
I don't
he
think
has?
so.
Okay.
He has not.
Okay, he's not said anything.
I think that's the hint. Dan. Dan. Show your miniatures.
Now he's going to type in, wait a second, I think maybe they were stolen.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So Rob subbed to Dan's channel. So for those that are in the comments, what is everybody working on now? Or, you know, if you are working on something, like as far as painting or whatever, or if you're into a particular game that you just got into or something, what is your latest project, whether it be gaming or painting? Or what is your next project, like that you'd want to talk about? I'm just kind of interested in what everybody's doing now that we're starting the 4th season of the show. Rob says that the Bob Ollie Iron Claw goblins are cool. I'm actually, after the show, going to look at those because I think I have seen them when looking through old Hammer stuff, but I don't know that I've seen them up close.
I've probably seen them on. I should break out my old Ralpartha catalog and look them up.
Yeah. There's for anybody that's interested, or I don't know if you know about it, Rusty, but my go-to place is the Stuff of Legends on the internet. Has all, like, well, not all, but it has a lot of the old catalogs for Citadel, and then they have other stuff too. But yeah, you can see a lot.
Now I'm looking right now. It's like, oh yeah, okay. I remember those. Being at, maybe I should break out my orc army and check. I might have some.
Dan says that he's got some painted, many that are not. Might be just interested walk down memory lane video at some point. And then Dan says, I'm pretty jazzed about my Bretonians. Yes, you never seem to fall out of excitement with those. You're doing a really nice job on those. That's really a lot of really great videos you're putting up, Dan.
Well, he's doing a better job on them than I would because I paint too fast. I just want to get them done and put on the table a lot of times. And I do have a big chunk of Bretonian sitting right there.
Mm-hmm.
They're from 5th edition, 4th, 5th edition stuff.
Cool. Rob says the Crown of Command podcast is starting a 4th edition army painting campaign. That's cool.
Oh. I'd be fitting right in soon.
Clark says, I'm trying to finish a level 4 of Word of Blake Forces for Battletech. Oh gosh, that's
Drake,
I was just
Drake.
thinking that. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, but you know, we have this kind of weird tradition that's developed. But anytime somebody says Battletech, for the most part, got to take a drink.
Yeah,
we are okay by the end of the show. I mean, it doesn't get that out of hand. But
I got Scotch mist forming in mine.
Well, we didn't standardize how much we put in the beginning.
Whoa, dude!
But we didn't standardize. But I'm just looking. I don't know how much you poured. It must have been a lot.
Yeah, our Kickstarter stuff should be hitting. The update is like we're like a month away from getting our Kickstarter stuff, I think.
We have a number of BattleTech fans on the show, like including Rusty, and basically I have some BattleTech, but I don't play a lot of it, and at all. But you know, I just haven't gotten around to it enough, and so we do a lot of talking about BattleTech, and sometimes all I can do is drink and listen to what's going on. That's how the BattleTech. That's how it started.
12-year-old Scotch is not something you pound.
So Eric says, World War II 28mm Canadians. Lots of our tiny northern cousins running a Juno Beach game Saturday. Awesome.
Oh,
that's cool.
So we're going to get a video soon on that one, Eric?
We're going to start turning people off on the show from talking about what they're doing. So, Dan, you're going to show those goblins soon. Oh, Rob, you're going to start a new YouTube. You're going to start your YouTube channel back up.
And Eric's got a new video coming out about Juno Beach coming soon.
No pressure, no pressure. Shot says, earlier this summer, lots of French for musket and tomahawks. Now I'm painting Rohirrim. Sweet, nice. Yes, I saw some of your French Indian War stuff. That's cool. French. Nice. Let's see. Dan says some of the Ralpartha Bob Ollie goblins are still available from Iron Wind Metals. Oh, okay.
Okay.
That is true. That people bring that up on here and there, that there's still some stuff that Iron Wind Metals is doing that is like retro by all means. Well, you know, for the most part.
Ralpartha line became Iron Wind, so
yeah, they basically bought the line, right?
Yeah, it was basically the guys that were still working at Ralpartha is like, oh, we're going to sell it. Okay, we're buying it, and just took the line over and called it Iron Wind.
And that would be basically what happened with BattleTech 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that there might be a drop left. Rob says, starting to paint a 1,000 list. 1,000 list. Month 1 will be
1,000-point list.
1,000 point. Ralpartha Giant will be month 1.
Is this for 3rd or 4th edition? Thanks. It's been a 22-year dream coming. Oh, the Bretonians.
Yeah.
We're going to have to start a thing where we have to have a sip of alcohol every time we hear Bretonians, too. So. New tradition for season 4. No longer BattleTech, it's Bretonians.
We will have to remove one, or else all we'll be doing is drinking.
That's what I say. Season 4, it's now Bretonians instead of BattleTech.
I think that Todd's talking about what you were saying about kind of just getting stuff on the table. I think there's a place. There's a place for everything, right? I mean, like there's certain things I like to get down quick, right? So you can just play, and there's certain miniatures that it's more about playing the game, and then there's other ones that you might collect and mean a little more to you, and you want to spend a little time on them. It really just depends, right?
I'd say when it comes to my Mechanicus army, I spend time painting them, trying to make them look good. But a lot of other stuff, I want to, just say on a scale of 1 to 5, paint scale. I'd say my Mechanicus army is running around a 4 or 5, and then if most other stuff's around a 3. They look good. It's not, but on my grand scheme of things of how I paint stuff, it's like, yeah, it's good enough. Makes me happy. So
absolutely. Scott says, I'm just starting to look for miniatures for
Harn.
I don't
I think that's Harn.
For Harn World, just starting to write campaign of scenarios, kind of the Viking era Britain through the Third Crusade. Is that a set of rules, Harn World?
Yeah, it's a RPG.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. Cool. But that doesn't mean anything because I don't really.
Well, we used to play
RPG.
it. Scott and I did way back in the day. Knight's Pantry and I were friends. We grew up together.
Cool.
We used to do RPG. He used to be. We played a lot of D&D together.
Eric confirms with you that he is filming his stuff. He'll be filming, I'm assuming, the game.
All right. And Clark said October when we're supposed to get our BattleTech stuff, supposedly, barring any type of stuff.
Rob says that Iron Winds is selling some of the Kev Adams growlers for the game Vor the Maelstrom.
Oh, so they're okay. I remember when Vor came out back in the 90s.
Dan's being a big glass half full here. Okay, no, half empty. Yeah, half empty. Not all of the Bob models are available in Iron Metals, though, which is a bummer.
Bummer, man. Raining on a parade, man.
No, but that is true. Could you imagine? I mean, that would be so awesome if they were all available, like all of this stuff he's done. But actually, I think it's Bob Ollie that for a while there maintained his own website and then did some sculpting. And like, I think he sculpted for a lot of different companies over the years, if I remember correct.
4th edition, Jankmaster, 1,000 points, 4th edition. All right. That's like 10 models in 4th edition. Maybe 20. You didn't have very big armies in 4th edition compared. By the time, if you compared my 4th edition army, let's say like Undead versus what you needed in 8th edition, it's like about twice as much.
Clark is typing responsibly here. If I ever get into a Warhammer army, it would be because I think the models look cool and I would sink time into painting them and make them look nice. B, Tech is getting on table with decent looks. Yeah, you could make the miniatures for that game look good too. I mean, like, yeah, it's true. But you're right. I mean, well, everybody's different as to how they want to paint and things like that. It was almost different. Like painting the really geometric sculpts was kind of different. It felt different when I was painting those up. But yeah, you could spend a lot of time on them or minimal time as well.
That's one thing. As much as many BattleTech miniatures I have never. The only time I ever put any real big effort into my BattleTech miniatures when I paint them is when I did a commission for somebody because they pay me to make them look good. Then I would put a lot of effort into them. Otherwise, you look at most of my BattleTech miniatures are all camouflage paint schemes mostly. Because I was like, and then Flecktarn, there you go. I spent 5 minutes painting that bugger. Yeah. Get her on a table.
How many of your BattleTech miniatures have enamel paint on them?
Some of them do.
Those are the old ones, right?
Yeah, it's like you look at the ones from basically from about 87, around 86, 87 through about 93. Those are all enamel paints.
Yeah.
Testers enamel. That's all we had.
Yeah, I was thinking testers when you said that. The little glass with the little metal top, right?
Yeah.
Little glass one. But there was another one too, right? There was another big brand of those paints as well, if I remember correctly.
Well, then eventually the Poly S paints came out, which were glass with a round top screw on.
But those were acrylic, right?
Yeah, those were acrylic. That's when I started actually painting kind of better at that time, because I actually had good paint to paint with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I started with the enamel paints too in the beginning of my painting career, and I still have some of them with those paints on it. I haven't tried stripping any of them. It might be interesting.
That's almost impossible.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Dan says,
just doesn't want to come off.
Yeah, it's not as nearly as easy as acrylics, I'm sure. Dan says Bob still does commission work and has a dwarf line he adds to from time to time.
Yeah.
Apparently there's some, Rob's saying there's some Gene Stealer cult sculpts from a few years ago. He has some of those.
Are those off the not official Games Workshop style Gene Stealers, or Gene Stealer like?
Well, they brought the Gene Stealers back only within the last few years, right? Because they were gone for the longest time, and then they brought them back. I thought they were plastic.
Yeah, the new ones are plastic.
Yeah. I'm assuming that those aren't the GW plastic ones that just came out.
They had the original Rogue. They had the Rogue Trader Gene Stealer cult members, all the different ones that from way back in the day. The works were cool. But I was too busy spending money on Space Marines at the time when I started collecting Space Marines for Rogue Trader.
Oh, okay. Rob says, well, he did some of the original hybrids, and then he says these were some pre-GW resurrecting them. So prior to when they came out with their plastics, he must have did some. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Neat. Yeah. There was a lot of, I noticed when the Gene Stealers were coming back from GW, there were a lot of companies that were offering like 40K like vehicles, and like people were trying to do like the Gene Stealer limo, right? You know, which is like the one of the classic cars, you know, that they marketed for them. And so yeah, that was a big deal bringing them back.
Yeah, the new stuff that they have from Games Workshop is mostly mining equipment that's been repurposed. I think that's what they call it, instead of actual military vehicles. I looked at the stuff when it came out, like, okay. Right now, I got a friend of mine that's bugging me. It's like he wants to get back. The 9th edition is coming out, so he's like, "Hey, you want to play Necrons against my Space Marines?" I'm like,
so he's tempted
Coven
you.
limos.
Yep. Gene Stealer Coven limos. So I have a friend too, you know, that's just getting back into, well, he played 8th edition, and now he's doing 9th edition as well. He said some good things about it. I can't see myself most likely picking it up and trying to jump on the bandwagon again. Yeah, I don't even know how I'd go about that, to be honest. I'm kind of happy just kind of going backwards in time
Yeah.
with all that stuff. But to each his own. I mean, I don't know. Like, do you know anything about, have you been watching videos? Do you know anything about the new rules that you know, as far as the difference between 8th and 9th? And like, I'm pretty clear on how some of the things have changed between 7th and 8th.
The only thing I know about 9th edition is from Iddick Beer, Nick, you know, I still watch his stuff, you know. To be honest, most of the channels that went to 8th and then 9th, or when they went to 8th edition, and that's all they ever talked about was 8th edition, I had really not much interest in 8th edition.
Mhm.
I just like, you know,
Yeah.
So Nick is about the only one that's still hanging on for when it comes to 8th or 9th edition.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could see down the road if they made some changes that I liked, maybe trying something out, but or even doing some sort of future version of Kill Team in some way. But for now, I just feel like there's so much stuff that I've got going on. I'm happy to do 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy for the moment.
Yeah.
And even just kind of working on my Rogue Trader kind of miniatures and stuff like that. That's kind of my 40K fix. And then, of course, Epic, which I might as a game. Well, I'm not going to say that I necessarily like it more than Fantasy because it's just different, so different. But as I really like it as something to kind of get my 40K itch.
Yeah.
Scratched.
Jank Master said that there we go. 9th seems to be extension of the stuff they introduced in Kill Team. I could see that. I can see that's the direction that 40K is going. Is that it's going to be nothing but a Kill Team style game, and I was expecting 9th edition to be nothing more than a Age of Sigmar complete, where they're totally compatible with each other. Yeah,
the Rob, I guess, got introduced on my channel to his to the small skirmish 40K videos. I was doing Kill Team, but it was the fan supported one, and it was called Heralds of Ruin. Is that the name of it? It's on. I have videos up. I haven't. That's how long it's been since I played it. But I think it's called Heralds of Ruin. It's a tournament-based, fan-based Kill Team system that was a bit more detailed than the Kill Team at the time. I don't think it has anything to do with the current version of Kill Team, which came out years later. But
yeah, because Mini Wargaming, way back in the early days of Mini Wargaming, your other Canadian channel, they were the ones, they were doing that too.
The Heralds of Ruin Kill Team. Yeah, it was fun. I did like it at the time. One of the things I liked about it is it had a lot more variety in it than like the Kill Team standard, which was like you have this specialist and this specialist and then this specialist and you have this core unit and then you go out. But they had just a lot more of a list building experience for the small skirmish. Yeah, so there is, I actually have told you and Rob about it, but there's a set of rules. And I keep calling it Rebel Scout, but it's not that. It's like
the one you showed me that one time.
Yeah. There's and it's supposed to be like a kind of updated, different kind of version of Rogue Trader, kind of making it a little bit more modern, but having very much the feel of Rogue Trader. And that game I'm looking at definitely trying with my Rogue Trader minis. It looks really good. There's a really cool video about Rip on there. Maybe if I can. I'll try to put something in the comments for the uploaded video to YouTube that has it in there, or maybe in the description.
Yeah, that one night you showed it to me, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I subscribed to that channel.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they put anything out lately. So.
Yeah, but there is you can buy like an online PDF of that rule set, and they even have some extensions where they have like light vehicles and things like that. Because I think the main thing doesn't have like vehicles and stuff, it's more of just like a skirmish, but you can play with vehicles and things like that too. And yeah, it looks really good. I think it has lots of variety and stuff. You can actually build a lot of your stuff from the ground up, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, as far as the season this year, Rusty and I have been talking. We'll likely be looking to be bringing on guests again, like we've done in the past, and so we may be reaching out to folks that might be interested in potentially joining. We always find it fun to bring a guest in because it just sort of brings a new flavor of interests, and things like that to chat about.
Yeah, that'd be one of those things where if we have a guest on, maybe have them, if they have a topic they want to talk about as one of the topics, because we usually do two.
Mhm.
And if you have a topic you want to bring with you, we can throw that in there, and we'll have one too. So, and there's plenty of people out there that we both subscribe to that subscribe to us that would be more than welcome to join us. And I think that is what we have to put out, more invitations. That's what we need to do.
Yeah. Just like we've been slow to getting started this season, we've been slow to sending those out, but we actually have a list. I've got a list that we've talked about. And then as well, we will likely be doing another, we call it Old Hammer, but at the same time, we welcome people to do historical miniatures as well. But really the idea is just pulling old stuff that you've had for a long time that you've never gotten around to painting out. And so we even had some folks doing some Napoleonics, right? I think Jim from Mary the Hinge, the YouTube channel, pulled out some like old Nap miniatures. He was painting those up. And one time Bill did some like old samurai miniatures, like during our Old Hammer painting challenge. So I think we'll likely do that at one point. So if anybody's got some old miniatures kicking around that they need an excuse to paint, either something that's on the top of your list, like perhaps some Bretonians or something like that, or something that you just truly have like in the closet that you just have been meaning to paint for the longest time, practically forgot they were there, and you just want to paint them up. The challenge is a great time to do that.
Or even, it's like, any type of miniatures, like let's say T-72s or Chieftains or something like that, type tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Todd? But yeah, we got, is like I said already, what I'm going to be doing. I have probably 30, was it? No, 20. I got 25 skeletons from the old 3rd edition skeletons. I have those to do. And so that's going to be what I'll be doing, guaranteed. And I have that Empire wagon, war wagon. What is it? I think that's what we call it. I want to get that put. I've had that thing for 25, 26 years now, and I still haven't put it together or finished painting it. So
that's like a perfect opportunity. It's like what the challenge is all about.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of cases, I have stuff that was sitting in somebody else's drawer for 26 years, and I just picked it up off eBay off of them, or some other Facebook group that sells where people trade Old Hammer miniatures. So,
like that old Citadel Army box, skeleton Army box. That's what I have, and it was under $20, I think, when I bought it way back in the day. It was cheap. And that was when I started my skeleton or my undead army. As I had Raupartha stuff, some Citadel stuff that I ordered, and the Heartbreaker. I think it was the other ones that were part of it. So between Raupartha, Heartbreaker, and some Citadel stuff, that was my undead army.
So what is we're talking about a lot of fantasy stuff tonight. What are your thoughts on the near future for historical, Rusty? Like, what kind of stuff do you have in the wings that you want to do?
Well, for historical, I've been talking with somebody that's been in the chat here, named Dan, that we have been talking about getting into American Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of batting around trying to figure out a scale, because right now I've been working on painting all the 28 mil American War of Independence, with our land of the free right there. There's and behind the gas land, there's Fire and Fury and another set of rules that cross Deadly Ground. I think that's the name of it. Been looking at that set of rules. And it's like, do I want to paint 28 mil versus 15 mil?
Mm-hmm.
Because with 15 mil, you can spend $100 and get a massive army, of a lot of miniatures, and you would, because the number of miniatures is the same if you paint it in 28 or 15. So what to do?
Mm-hmm. Rob says 28 mil Old West on the shelf somewhere. So that's some historical stuff.
Yeah, I had some old 28 mil, actually probably more 25 mil Old West miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
So at one time I have an actual Old West rules set I made. I wrote myself. So
Eric says I have an old box of Grenadier goblins that would be fun to paint in that challenge. A nice diversion from historicals. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's like the old Grenadier goblins were pretty awesome. I have some part of my orc and goblin army.
Mm-hmm. Dan says you could use them in your D&D games. Yeah, for me, for historical, I mean, I'm pretty much going to do what I've been doing as far as French Indian War, but I've got a lot to paint, and I am very excited about it. So I've got a lot of both fife and drum as well as Krantera French Indian War stuff to do. I'm thinking that I'm probably going to paint up some some Iroquois, like Mohicans from fife and drum. And I have a lot of Grenadiers to do on both sides, both the British and the French from them. But I think because I'm really excited about it, I'm going to then move and do specifically some British Rangers for French Indian War that are by Krantera after that, just because I've never had the sort of proper with the beret, like French Indian War Rangers. I've never had those any time from my French Indian War gaming. I've never had the miniatures because none of the lines that I purchased, I think, really quite had ones, were ones that I wanted for the most part. And so, yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And I really like the look of them. So it's sort of been worth the wait. And then after that, it's sort of up in the air. I have a lot of Krantera to paint. Like I said, I still have some fife and drum, so I'll definitely be doing those. And eventually, once I kind of get a good dent in some of the French Indian War stuff that I've done, I'm probably going to go back and do some Dark Ages for Saga.
Yeah,
because I still have some unfinished business there. Like I got through a lot of the stuff for my Scots and my Anglo-Danes, but I still have some scenario pieces and some characters and standards and things like that I haven't done, that I wouldn't mind just pulling the brush out and painting some of that stuff up.
Yeah, I have the Saga rules. And eventually, I want to get some individuals in my group maybe interested in playing that a little bit too.
Age of Magic.
Yeah.
Could use some Warhammer Fantasy models that you take a while to paint up to make them look really nice. You could probably use those in Saga Age of Magic. Hint,
yeah,
hint.
Could do that.
I think Scott mentioned something about maybe one day doing some Warhammer Fantasy models. Age of Magic is fun. Saga's a lot of fun as a game.
Yeah, that's what just seeing all the stuff out there has made me interested in it. And having it on sale is a good deal too. Yeah, it's like Dan has to start working on his British side, and I have to work on my continental side.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when we had our last game, our last game was all of our painted miniatures that we had. And I think I had, was it about 45, 50 more points than Dan, I think, on the table.
Mm-hmm.
In our last game, it's like, we just like, how many points you got? And just, let's go play anyway. And it ended up being sort of a rout on the side because the British outnumbered the poor Continentals. But I still have 2 more units of Hessians to put together to finish off my British side, and then I'll start in on my Continental side. And
sweet.
Right now I'm watching again. Have you ever watched that show Turn?
I was just about to. I'm literally saying "turn" in my head as you're like before you even brought that sentence up, because people are talking about in the comments. I'll get to it. AWI. I watched the first season, and for some reason, I only watched the first episode of the second season. I didn't really kind of get into the second season, but I really enjoyed the first. I probably need to give the second season another shot. But it's great for inspiration, right? Watching shows like that.
Yeah. I'm sitting there watching. I've watched the series like twice now. I'm going through it again. It's just like I'm looking at uniforms, and what's the Townsend? The channels. It used to be John Townsend on YouTube. They made a lot of the outfits for the show. And
is that right?
Yeah, they do a lot of period. Cooking shows and information history stuff about the period, so about the whole 17th century. So that was one of the things. It's like I'm watching the show Turn. I'm like looking at, I'm like, oh, how do they? Okay, it's like looking at the uniforms, like, oh, okay, so that's what that goes there and that goes there. So
now you watch that show that Bark Skin that takes place before the French Indian War. Now that one precedes the French Indian War, as far as I can tell. Yeah, it's actually earlier. But you liked it or no?
It kind of dragged.
Oh, is that right? So not quite as exciting as Turn.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, I wanted to really see it. It looked like some beautiful like shots, like when they were showing scenery
a period
of it.
Piece, but it's a very dreary period piece, to put it bluntly.
We got some folks doing some AWI chat in the comments. Hey there, Chris. Chris at Walkabout Games. Fellow Canadian. I'm like a hybrid Canadian-American, but he's true Canadian.
I live close. I've been to Canada. I lived right on the border of Canada.
Rob says, where do you play when COVID isn't a thing? Oh, maybe he's talking to Sean. I'm not sure because they were chatting about how he's over in Jersey and Rob's over in Philly. How's it going, eh?
Take off, eh?
So,
hey, Ozers.
So yeah, actually,
put a cook on your head there, because it's getting a little shiny up there. You need a toque.
Chris actually put a cool miniature up that was looked like it was, I believe it was AWI, right? It was basically a colonial, kind of musketeer type miniature that he did on his resin printer, and he put that up on the Musty Wargamers Facebook page, which, by the way, I think most people may or may not know, but we do have a Facebook page, which we like to put up just sort of random stuff that we're all painting, and even YouTube videos and things, just kind of put stuff up there. A lot of times things that I'm painting on make it up on there before they hit the channel, the YouTube channel, just because of convenience.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like I'll put stuff up on Instagram or on our Facebook page long before it ever makes it up on YouTube.
Yeah. Hey, Curtis. Curtis just joined us.
Hey.
Yeah.
Curtis is in the house. All right. There. Good night, everybody.
We started at 8. We're just doing a chill out tonight. We've got a lot of people in the house. We've had a lot of good conversation, and basically just what we've been doing, things over the summer, and just everybody's just been chatting, and we've had conversation going every direction tonight, I would say, both on the fantasy and historical side. Been lots of fun. Chris says, yes, a red coat, and that's in reference to the resin miniature he put up on Facebook. Yeah, no, that was actually pretty cool. I was impressed with that. It's amazing what the detail that you can get now, like with the resin miniatures. I can't do anything with my filament, my PLA filament like that. need more. I spend
you need
more time doing terrain. Yeah, with that kind of stuff. Curtis says, good to see you up and at it again. Looking forward to more great episodes from you guys. Yes, thank you. We had a bit of discussion in the beginning of the show. We've taken a little longer to get back to things this year. I think, Rusty's had land hurricanes, and I've had just like kind of, I don't know how to describe it. Just
a gamer funk.
Yeah, after the summer. I think with all the COVID stuff and everything and not having a break, it's taken me a little longer to get back into it, but we are getting back into the swing of things. First historical infantryman, I'm assuming on the resin printer. Hope the guy that did the file does more, hopefully. He probably needs to do things like drummers or officer and things like that.
Standard, it needs a drummer, it needs a guy holding a sword. Obviously, all leaders hold their swords. As a leader, I know. I was riding my tank. I was always slapping my sword on the tank. He's like, "Forward, men!" And then I had the bugler on another tank, on a loudspeaker. But it's like you need somebody shouldered arms, marching forward type of deal. That'd be cool.
Yeah. See if I can. I was saying I could probably show the miniature.
Yeah,
he's talking about. Well, all I got to do is just this. I'll just
you gotta
share the screen.
Share
this. We're working all the rest off for getting into the new season, so I got to how do I share a screen again?
I think don't you have to open up another window? There you go.
Okay.
Off into infinity.
Can you guys see it now? You can see it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, if you could see it, that's that's what it looks like. And it's very cool. Like the detail is really nice. It's kind of amazing what I was looking at. And I don't know if you can see my little pointer here, but I was looking at like the hardware on the gun. Like just how you can get to that level of detail. And I was thinking, that's when I kind of said to him, like, yeah, it is really nice, like the detail on that. I was kind of commenting, asking whether that it most likely is the resin, just because when I saw that, I was just thinking that would be really hard to do with anything but the resin printer, I think.
Wonder how much it costs to print each one of those. And how many? You can only print one at a time. Am I correct in that?
Well, I don't know anything about the resin printer. He said he had a Mars printer. I know nothing about that process, and so I'm not really sure. Stop sharing. Get back to there. There we go. Yeah, maybe Chris can comment, but I think you and I are going to need some oil for our chairs for the next show. It's the slight movements. Like. Yeah,
there's a lot of detail on that thing. That is amazing.
Yeah, it really is nice.
It's like I just was looking at it tonight and I was like, ooh, wow, that's pretty cool. Dang, but then again, just like this resin stuff coming out, it's like I'm just waiting for when a resin printer was like, he's like, I want 10 of those, like, and it prints out 10 at a time or 20 or 30. You get a big vat of just print off an entire army and nothing flat.
Well, I don't know where it's at in the technology stream, but you remember last year when we were looking at those videos where they have these like 3D printers that print basically by shooting light through the liquid.
Yeah.
And so all it's doing is like spinning a jar of liquid around, and as the light hits it, the liquid solidifies in a certain spot and makes like an object inside. That was just wild. It's like resin or something that's activated by UV or whatever. Yeah. That was really amazing. So there's lots of cool stuff coming. How applicable that'll be for the hobby, or whether that becomes something you can do in your house, I have no idea.
Well, it's like technology takes about 5 years to get to the consumer that's affordable.
Well, Chris just said, and I think this sounds quite reasonable. He says I can only do six at a time, but probably could do 10 at a time for an hour and a half to do 6. That's actually, to me, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, in 3 hours, you've got 12, depending on what kind of game you're playing. Musket and Tomahawks, that's a unit, in Musket and Tomahawks. If you go bigger games with 28 mil, then, things like Black Powder, then yeah, it's going to need a lot more. But
yeah, it's like our games that Dan and I, Land of the Free, we're typical unit. I think we're going 4x4s, 4s, 8s, 12s, 18s, 24s. I think was our size.
Yeah.
Of our units. So if you printed off 12, if you did 6 at a time, and in the course of an afternoon, you could have a whole 24 unit. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good, considering you could be painting your other unit while there's a printing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as if you got to sit there and watch it.
After it's cured, it's like you got to put them in the UV light, right, to cure them up. So I don't know how much time that takes, but who knows? Spend one day, it's like 10 to 20 cents each. Yeah, that's pretty cheap considering. When you think about it, it's typically some of the companies like the ones that we have. I'm drawing a blank in the name of the company.
You're talking about like plastics, like
Warlord Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can buy a box for like $30 to $35. And you get 30 miniatures, or basically a buck a piece to buck 10 to. That's pretty good when you consider it.
Yeah. Well, it definitely seems to be a future for it. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like, my hat's off to you, Chris, to be able to do that kind of stuff. That's really awesome. I think I like my metal miniatures, so I'm hoping that they always still make them because I do quite like them. And but I have to say, I know this isn't resin, but I enjoyed planing my plastics, for the Marvel. And so I think if you can enjoy everything, that's good. And I made some comments because I really see an advantage, like Dr. Octopus that I just did recently. I showed it on the channel, but I'll just show it here again. The metal model for the old Night Models game versus the plastic model that I just painted. There's some real advantages to having plastic in this case, like for this particular one. For a model like Dr. Octopus, where you have all these like thin tentacles like attached to the body.
That stuff's a nightmare in metal.
Yeah. And one thing I will do is, unlike last time, is I will try to show it up close. But yeah, like this guy, and not too long ago, just by having him topple over, like one of the tentacles just pulled right out of the body because he's only just glued in there with metal. I had to balance him really well, and I wanted to do something kind of unique, so I had him try to walking forward, and I wanted like this thing like coming out as like offense and just something that looked like he was walking a bit. But it's really unsteady. It's really top heavy. I like it, don't get me wrong, but it's just, and in some ways I like the proportions on this. Like, I do like this look. It looks very classic to me in some ways, but assembling and painting, and just, even if this thing fell over, I'm just not really nearly as worried about it with the new plastic one for Atomic Mass games. And so it's sort of an example where, as much as I like metals, there's a place for everything. And putting like the sculpture aside, it's not that I don't like the sculpture for this one, but putting the sculpture aesthetic aside, I think this style of model goes better in plastic, personally.
Yeah, I agree with Dan there. He said the metal one is more of a display piece now.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, well, now in particular, since the game has been canceled for the Night Models game, but you're right. Like, if this is less practical, if you look at the size of the base and the size of the model on top of it, I mean, you want to keep it in one spot and have it on display. You don't want to really. He never probably would have been really great moving around the board constantly without breaking off his tentacles and things.
Yeah.
Rob says the metal one should be pin tisk tisk.
It's like,
yeah,
that's
I guess I could have did that.
Those tentacles are probably very thin. So
they're really thin, and I thought about pinning them at the time. I usually use paper clips to pin.
Those tentacles look like the thickness of a paper clip.
They're not much bigger than a paper clip, and if I remember correctly, I think that was one of the reasons. What I could have did is try to drill further into his body and just try to squeeze the tentacle in more, and that's probably what I would have been better at the time. So I could have did that. Just going back a little bit here, Scott actually says some things about the 3D, the printing, I think. But I'm not really sure what he means by that. It's about the cost efficiency and the way that they're selling them.
Thing is, a lot of companies sell equipment in a net 30 type of sales or 4 pay type of sale. Help me.
And he says, I know Rio Grande sells printers 4-pay format if they accept you.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they print stuff for you. They just, it's kind of like that. What we were talking about, you'll have companies that will print the things for you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right.
You just tell them what you want, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay the cost. You're kind of paying the cost of them buying the equipment, but it's a lot cheaper in the long run for you because if you don't print a lot of stuff, then it's probably in your benefit to just pay somebody to print stuff on occasion. You're saving money still, but you're not forking out a lot, and then you're not having to go through the hassle trying to figure out how to make things work.
Yeah. Chris says he doesn't use his UV light as it makes him fragile. That's interesting. Like I'm assuming he's talking about the resin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Curtis says, the base is too damn small. Yeah, I totally agree, actually. I mean, this is the base from the company. And it was like basically the base that you're supposed to use for the game. But if you actually look at the difference, I mean, the base on this one, even though...
What do you have underneath it?
What are you talking about?
For weight, the metal one. What's
the metal one? Well, there is nothing underneath it, and I could have definitely put some stuff under there.
But next time you're at, say, Walmart or someplace,
buy
some lead sinkers.
Yeah.
Shot. Buy a bunch. Take a hammer to them. Hammer them down flat and glue them to the bottom.
That makes sense, definitely. It's still, I think, even in most cases, this is too small. The space, it should have been done differently, and there were a lot of logistical issues with the way Night Models did things. And I think that is one of them. If you look at it, the new game, like, even though it's plastic and there's really not an issue with weight, look at the base on it. He's bigger, but the base is pretty big. And that actually affects things in the game too. Like, he has more reach and ability to affect more models because his base size is bigger than, let's say, Spider-Man's in the same game. Yeah. And there's a reason for the big base, not just because he's a large model with all the tentacles, but it affects the game mechanics as well in this game. But they did a better job, like, by making a more appropriate base size. And Walk Back Games says that he posted a pic on the Musty Wargamer Facebook page, and I'm assuming
just now.
Yeah, assuming he's talking about. He's talking just about when he doesn't use his UV light. It's just showing how the actual rifle will bend. You can bend it.
I'm looking at the picture now, and he's bending the rifle.
Yeah, and you can do that because he's not using the UV light. That's what he said.
That makes sense.
So Rob's saying, I think that what Scott was saying earlier is that you can sometimes pay installments, is what he meant by the 30 type of sale or the 4-pay type of sale. Net 30.
Okay. Buy it now or on the old layaway program.
Or 25% each month. Companies are selling printers 25% each month to you. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So
we're going on 2 hours almost.
Yeah. That's usually pretty close to what our show is usually.
Yeah.
We usually work it around our topics. But
how's that drink?
Oh, I've been done for a long time. Too much BattleTech talk. And
what? Too much BattleTech?
Let's see. We don't have Plastic Crack Gaming in here. Dwayne, he's the one that usually gets me drinking too much by talking about BattleTech so much.
Yeah, it is very thick Irish grog. Okay. Pay the rest.
No such thing as too much BattleTech. Well, I don't know about you, Rusty. I think we've had some good discussion tonight. I think probably honing in on our normal time to close the curtain.
He's hitting the ejection button on us.
So
he's punching out. Heat overload. Shut down imminent. Fusion reactor going rogue.
We had the new person joining our show tonight as far as in the house tonight. And the gentleman from New Zealand, just remember, it wasn't Octavius, was it?
Augustus.
Augustus. Yeah. How could I think Octavius? And so, yeah, we were saying earlier, we typically do a format where we will have a couple of very deliberate topics, and then we get a lot of really good discussion in the comments about those topics and other things. And so that's when next time we will be on Rusty's channel. And so if anybody watching the show either now or later doesn't know, his channel is Hellcorrex, and usually
if you take down the Walkabout Games,
you could see a comment. Sorry?
Go ahead and bring down his comment right there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, there's my title.
There you go. HELCAREXE 26 is the name of his YouTube channel.
Yep.
Hellcorrex 26. And so, yeah, you'll be able to link up to that to see the next one. We usually do twice a month, so it'll be in 2 weeks, same time, and there'll also be a countdown on his channel, just like mine, when we put it up on StreamYard ahead of time. And so we'll have topics pre-prepared for that one and go back into the old format again. But this was a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, if we haven't lined up our first guest yet, so one of these times we're going to have to tap somebody and say, "Hey, come on over. The water's fine."
Great to see everybody on the show. And Eric, we're going to have to see your Grenader Goblins on the next Oldtimer Painting Challenge. We're looking forward to them. Looking forward to that now, at least.
There you go.
Awesome. Good to see you on the channel tonight, Rob, too. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And, yeah, great first start to Season 4, 4th year of the Musty Wargamers.
Wow, it's hard to believe, isn't it? 4 seasons.
Yep. Goes quick.
I know.
Okay, we'll have to make a note after harvest.
All right, we can't have another show until Dan's back. Dang it. Dang. Oh, man.
Awesome. All right. See you, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.
Night, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Take care.